It is hard to believe that the Queen of Sweden does not belong to an aristocratic family. The elegance of her manners, her noble beauty, which does not fade with the years, the ability to take blows with her head held high, her whole appearance and behavior shows that we have a real queen in front of us. Nevertheless, in the veins of Sylvia does not flow a drop of blue blood, and her husband, King of Sweden Carl Gustaf XVI, had to make considerable efforts to defend his choice secrets of childhood of the future queen. Sylvia was born in Germany in 1943. Her birthplace was the ancient German city of Heidelberg, famous for its castle and university. It is one of the few towns in Germany that survived World War II. Sylvia's mother was a Brazilian woman named Alice de Toledo. There were a total of 4 children in the family. Sylvia was the only girl. Her older brothers loved her, patronized and pampered, for many years remained a mystery, why Sylvia is so reticent to talk about her childhood, not going into detail. The truth has been revealed recently. It turns out that Sylvia's father, German businessman Walter Sommerlath, in 1934 joined the NSDAP and sympathized with the Nazis. Moreover, he had exchanged his land and a coffee plantation in Brazil for a metalware factory in Berlin. The factory belonged to a Jew, Ephraim Wexler, who had been forced to flee Nazi Germany. In 2010, a scandal erupted over the Swedish queen's father's ties to the Nazis, but the proud Sylvia bravely held her ground. She emphasized that her father's act had helped the Jew escape persecution and allowed him to live in exile without poverty. How a stewardess and translator became a queen. Sylvia's childhood and teenage years were spent in Brazil and Germany. She lived an ordinary life for girls of her circle. Her father was a rather successful businessman who could afford a good education for his children. When Sylvia met the future King of Sweden, she was already 27 years old. She graduated from the University of Munich with a degree in translation and worked as a stewardess and translator. By her own admission, she never imagined that she would one day become queen. At the Munich Olympics, Sylvia led a team of interpreters. Languages always came easily to her. She was fluent in Spanish, German, English, Portuguese and French. After her marriage, she also learned Swedish, and when working with the disabled, she mastered sign language interpretation. Sylvia recalls her first meeting with her future husband with a smile. The heir to the Swedish throne looked at her through binoculars, although the distance between them was only a few meters. Sylvia did not take it seriously, especially since Carl Gustaf was 3 years younger than her. Then the Swedish prince tried to impress her by acting out bullfight scenes with his buddies. As a cape, he borrowed Sylvia's black cape, which was part of her Olympic costume. For 5 years, a relationship developed between Carl Gustaf and his chosen one. They returned phone calls and sometimes visited each other. They hid from the prying eyes of the paparazzi in small alpine resorts and Italian towns. Sylvia recalls that she often changed wigs, although it did not always help. Marriage was hard to even dream about. She a commoner, he the future Swedish king. All of Carl's relatives strongly opposed his choice. Especially categorical was the grandfather of the young heir, the current King Gustaf VI. He said that as long as he lives, will not allow the conclusion of this marriage, but the passion of the Swedish prince to the German with Brazilian roots did not subside. After the death of his grandfather and his accession to the throne, he issued a decree allowing Swedish kings to marry persons of non-royal blood. June 19, 1976. Sylvia, 33, and Carl, 30, were married in Stockholm Cathedral. More than 180,000 citizens crowded the streets of the Swedish capital to marvel at the royal wedding ceremony. The bride was ravishing. The dress, created for the House of Christian Dior by fashion designer Mark Bonin, was simple but elegant. The bride's hair was adorned with a tiara with pearls and cameos. The king wore an admiral's uniform with orders. The wedding photo, which depicts a kiss, is the only image where you can see the Swedish monarchs kissing. The queen did not allow herself such a weakness anymore. Family life. One after another, the beautiful couple had 3 heirs: Victoria, born in 1977, Carl Philip, born in 1979, and Madeline, born in 1982. Despite numerous attempts by journalists to find reasons for gossip, Sylvia and Carl managed to create a friendly and strong family. The Swedish queen carefully guards her private life from the intrusive attention of the paparazzi. Now she has 7 grandchildren, in each of whom she has a soul. In 2010, journalists tried to stir up a scandal, claiming that they found King Carl Gustaf in adultery. It is difficult to say how much of their information is true, but in his youth the Swedish king was indeed known as a heartbreaker. Sylvia held in the situation flawlessly, not allowed to destroy the strong family foundations, and the scandal soon subsided by itself. When on the 37th anniversary of their life together, journalists asked the queen what was the best for these years, she simply but clearly answered, to be with him. People's favorite. Unlike the king's relatives, the people loved Sylvia immediately. First, the chosen one of Carl Gustaf has a special rare aristocratic beauty, which is noticeable in every look and gesture. Secondly, she has impeccable manners. It seems that nothing can break her equanimity and make her commit an act that could spoil the reputation of the royal house. Thirdly, Sylvia turned out to be a very active woman, who from the first day took her royal title as an important public work. She actively engaged in educational and charitable activities, personally participating in numerous conferences, congresses, seminars and symposiums. The Swedish queen is the head of the International Children's Fund, patronizes charitable organizations that provide assistance to dementia patients, victims of violence, etc. The Swedish queen is also the head of the International Children's Fund. Sylvia has many awards for her success in solving humanitarian problems. These are orders of different countries, and honorary doctorates. The queen herself likes to say that she has a Brazilian heart, a German mind and a Swedish soul. And all her actions are proof of that.